Okay, I want to talk about kind of like a game development, um, philosophical, concept, and it's just something that I've been thinking about recently. Just seeing different games, and it's something, like I often talk with, one of my good friends, Painbow, about this, and the phrase that we always use is you can only really truly enjoy a game after you have enough hardware to spread it eagle. And basically like what we mean by that is here let me draw this so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So basically with video games, you pretty much have the quality of presentation, and then you have complexity. And so basically, what happens is if you have a very simple game, it basically means that you can just super pump up the fucking quality of the presentation. And then if you have like a really fucking complicated game, basically the quality of the presentation just takes a fucking nosedive. Because what happens is, as you get more complicated, you basically need to throw more hardware at the shit that's actually going on. And so it means that you can't actually present the quality of presentation that you would with a simpler game. Now here's a concrete example. So in 1993, Doom, had its 30th anniversary, right? In 1993, you basically needed a $30,000 computer to run Doom properly, and you didn't even get 35 frames per second all the time. Basically ran like dog shit, but it fucking, it was complicated by the day's standards. And if you really think about it, it wasn't even really until the 20th century, maybe even like as late as 2004-ish in there, where you could basically get a computer that was so powerful that you could run the original Doom at something like 4K resolution at 100 plus frames per second, and just have everything cranked and play it widescreen and all that extra shit, right? See, that is the quality of presentation. Like you weren't able to truly spread Doom eagle until over a decade after the fucking game came out. And I said, what makes me laugh about, like, I see shit, everybody, of course, because it's like the biggest thing in the world and everybody's hyped over it. There's like, oh my god, look at the Grand Theft Auto 6 commercial. Oh, I'm gonna fucking cream my pants. Well, the thing that's funny though about that is like it's just like you can just see. It's just fucking obvious, right? I mean, look at every game those cocksuckers have ever made. They have no fucking, you can't control anything. I mean, it's all smoke and fucking mirrors. I mean, it's basically, it's like they'll show you some footage of like a cutscene on a beach that has 500 people on it, and it'll be like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. But then when you actually go and play the game, like you won't actually be able to do anything. Like I'll tell you this right now, and this call me fucking Nostradamus, because this is gonna happen. You will not be able to go to the beach in the game and like shoot a rocket launcher into the middle of a fucking beach with 500 people and actually all see them, reacting realistically. It's not going to happen because the fucking PlayStation can't do it. It's not powerful enough. And so basically what you're going to get is you're going to get cutscenes, and you're going to get a lot of like very tightly controlled events and a lot of disappearing and reappearing dynamic popping in and out fake characters and bullshit like that. That's because the game is too fucking complicated, so the actual quality of the presentation has to go way fucking down. That's what's fucking going on. And it's the same thing like what you think about like the Final Fight, right? I mean, look at what you can do by taking today's hardware and throwing it at the quality of the presentation of a game like Final Fight. You can just pump up all the fucking knobs, you can just go as nuts as you want to. And I'll make the argument that I would rather have high quality of presentation than complexity almost any time, because when you actually look at the so-called complexity these games give you, it's almost always bullshit. Like I said, look at the Rockstar games. It's all fucking smoke and mirrors. It's all bullshit. You get a lot of cutscenes. You get a lot of shitty, complicated, physics-based animation systems that make the characters unresponsive and feel like fucking dog shit. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Ultimately, what do we want to do? We just want to kick back and just have some fun punching people in the face. Ultimately, that's what you want to do 9 times out of 10 when you play a fucking video game anyway. So that's why I just want to bring that up. Like, and it's the same thing with Quake as well, right? The original Quake. 1996, the game ran like fucking dog shit. Today, you can pump up that fucking quality of presentation. You can play Vulcan Quake at 4K at 360, 540 hertz, widescreen, everything fucking pumped, 3D audio, blah blah blah. Right? You can just crank up every fucking knob on the quality of presentation, and honestly, that experience is better than playing Call of Duty 47. And chunking frames or whatever the fuck happens to be, like the modern, FPS that somehow, even though it uses 30 times as many resources, doesn't look 30 times better. So I just want to really just hammer that home, that the quality of presentation is so fucking important. It's so important, and really, I mean, consumers, I think, prove this pretty often as well. I mean, if you look at the games, I mean, like recently, what's the darling of the video game industry? From Software. Everybody fucking loves From Software. Well, that's a perfect example, right? They have shit technology. Their engines are janky crap. But they have great artists working for them, and the games are fucking fun, and everybody loves them. I mean, really, like From Software, they really are today's version of 90s Capcom. Like conceptually, they're almost exactly the same. Where like they're basically following the exact same trajectory. Like look at Capcom, right? They were a smaller video game company, and then they struck gold with Street Fighter 2, and they're like, okay, fuck this. We're the Street Fighter 2 company now. We're just gonna basically make nothing but fighting games for the next 10 years. And that's basically look at what was Capcom? Shit engineering, terrible software, but awesome art. They're exactly like From Software. They're exactly, and that's what happened with From Software. They said, okay, we're this shitty, janky company. Okay, we fucking struck gold with Demon Souls. All right, we're making fucking Demon Souls for the next 10, 20, 15, 1800, 1700 years. That's pretty much what happened. And I said it'll probably follow the exact same trajectory where, it'll get old eventually. They're going to release one too many games where you start off by slowly pushing open a big gate, and people are going to go like, oh god, like really we're going to do that again? Like, you're going to use that animation again? But it hasn't got old yet, and we still like them. I mean, I love the From Software games. I do. I mean really, like I said, in my opinion, they're basically all that's left of 90s video gaming, like that mentality. I don't think anybody else is fucking left. Everybody else is sold out, got soft, got pussy, lost their edge. Nintendo's fucking worthless now, man. They suck. Microsoft always sucked, and Sony, releases lesbian simulators. You want to play a black lesbian? Well, Sony is your fucking man. They fucking blow, man. Sony fucking sucks. Oh god. So in any case, that's my little diatribe on quality of presentation and complexity. Like I said, complexity is super overrated. You can add in your ray tracing and your super complicated physics systems and your kinetic motion animation systems and whatever the fuck, and then ultimately people go like, oh god, this game feels like shit. Like, why doesn't it just fucking move when I press? Why do I have to wait for the slow animation? You know what I mean? It's just it's a bunch of bullshit. So having said that, I'll just give a little like quick update on some shit I've been working on. So for Samurai Shodown 2, I ripped out X Audio and I replaced it with Port Audio. So I'm using Port Audio, and so I went back and shoved Port Audio into Final Fight. And so this had actually kind of quite a few interesting side effects. And so one of the interesting things is because really I have like very tight control over the whole audio stack now that I didn't have before, because X Audio was like, X Audio 2 is like, it's pretty high level. To a certain extent, there's a lot of shit you don't have control over. But in any case, like you can see here now, in Final Fight, I'm actually directly loading the original game's ADPCM Vox files. And so it's just straight up using the original samples straight out of the original ROMs now. Not even using fucking WAV files anymore for the sound effects. And also because of like redoing all this sound shit, I've I could do some things that I wasn't able to do before that are pretty cool. So like let me show you here. So basically before when a character made a sound like this in the game, what happened was basically like X Audio 2 essentially has like two types of voices. Like you can have like a fire and forget voice, or you can have like a persistent voice that you can track more or less. And so pretty much what I was doing was I was using the persistent voices for things like music, so I could like pause and continue playing the music. But the sound effects were pretty much just always fire and forget. And so that's why you'd probably notice like if you like did a jump attack, right? And then you like pause the game, it would like keep playing out that sound effect until it finished, because it just didn't give a shit. It was like, nope, it's like I'm playing the sound, fuck off. The sound ends when it ends. I don't even give a shit anymore. As soon as I trigger playing it, I'm done with it. But now because my program here has control over the whole the audio for all the objects, basically, and this is how it works in Samurai Shodown 2 as well. Every object, like Guy, actually has two different types of sounds that can be assigned to him. So I have what I call a body sound, and I have what I call a voice sound. And the way it works is, when it effectively boils down to when characters talk or yell, that's what I use for the voice sound. And when characters make noises, like this, that's like a body sound. That or that. That last one was a voice sound because he's yelling. But here is what's awesome about this though, is that because I have that additional granularity in the voices, it means that I can intelligently choose when to cut off sounds or not. So for example, if Guy, when he does a jump attack, he does one kind of yell, and when he does a special attack, he does a different kind of yell. And so because those are both voice sounds and not body sounds, I know that when he makes a voice sound and he's already playing a voice sound, that I can interrupt the voice. So notice how if I do a jump attack and then I chain the jump attack into a special attack, it actually cuts off the first sound effect. See? So whereas before, if you've noticed in previous versions of the game, it would just the sounds would overlap because it wouldn't stop playing the other one. Effectively, they had multi-channel mouths, which kind of sucked. I never really liked that. And then of course, on top of this bullshit, you also get the lower latency. You can get like ultra low latency. And one difference between port audio in my games versus MAME is that I'm compiling port audio with ASIO support. So if you were a lunatic and you bought one of those super expensive like Dante or AES67 sound cards, you could theoretically play this game with like 1 millisecond audio latency theoretically. And you can choose between exclusive and shared audio modes with Windows Audio Session API on Windows at least. And the other thing too is this is ultimately just part of like a bigger thing where at some point, just because we all know it's coming, at some point Windows is going to become too, lame for any heterosexual to use. The writing's just on the wall. You know what's going to happen, right? It's just Microsoft is just intent on killing Windows. They just for whatever reason they want to fucking kill the golden goose, and at some point they will make it too offensive, for a heterosexual to use. And so I see that writing on the wall, and so I'm just kind of prepping, for when I'm going to be, lifting off of Windows and probably moving to Linux or whatever ends up being the least offensive option at the time. I mean, I still overall think you're probably better off with Windows for gaming, but I just want to make sure that these games keep working, even in like a post Windows world. Because like I said, I don't know. I just because Microsoft is so fucking stupid. They just keep making Windows worse. Every version of Windows gets worse. Every patch makes Windows worse, and so they're fucking freaking me out. And now because I got rid of the X-Audio 2 dependency, that's really nice because if I make a Linux version now of Final Fight, the audio's done. Which is pretty nice. And so really all that's kind of left for that is at some point I'm probably going to replace the Direct 3D renderer with Vulkan one probably, and then it'll just be like, all right, I can pivot off of Windows, no problem, when that comes. But I'm just mentioning this so that because this is kind of going back to the original topic, which was quality of presentation versus complexity. See, because Final Fight is so simple, I can just do anything, right? I can. It doesn't matter how many enemies I want to have on the screen. It doesn't matter how much shit I want to do with the audio. I can do anything with the presentation because the game's so goddamn simple. I can just pump up every fucking knob on the presentation with impunity, and basically the real reason that I went down this road is because for Samurai Shodown 2. So with Final Fight, like one of the original things in my head, that I like dreamed about, before I even started working on the game, is I wanted to implement that fucking kick. I wanted to implement that unused animation. It fucking bothered me that animation was floating out there and it was never fucking used. And the equivalent of that for Samurai Shodown 2 is that just in my head, I just could never get over the idea is like with a multi-channel setup with like ceiling speakers and all that, like the whoosh sound effect that plays when you jump in Samurai Shodown 2. I just want that to exist where when you jump in Samurai Shodown 2, the whooshing sound effect actually follows like the speakers to the ceiling as the character reaches the top of the screen. I just fucking love that. And so that's why I added all this kind of extra audio tracking shit. And that's the other thing too that you get out of this is that because all of the sound objects in the game are associated with characters now and persistently tracked, I can dynamically adjust, the speaker that the sounds are coming out of, as they're moving, around the room, and or in Samurai Shodown 2, moving around, the stage, and so you have that really, tight control over, multi-channel sound with this. So it's pretty nice. So it's a lot of nice stuff, on the audio in there. And I said that, and that's what I'm talking about. Like I said, you work on these simple games. It's like they might be really simple, but they're also really fun. And because you can turn the knobs up so much, in some ways, I think that they can actually be a lot more satisfying to play than something that's like super complicated, or like super cutting edge. Because like, I'm telling you, I said, you just fucking know. Yeah, I mean, right now I can just tell you, what Grand Theft Auto is going to play like? Every other fucking 3D Grand Theft Auto. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be another. You're going to watch a fucking movie. The game's going to have 14 hours worth of cutscenes and 15 minutes of gameplay, and you're going to be waiting for animations to finish before you can fucking move a character. It's it's all very technically impressive and all that. That's great, but is it actually fun to play? It's kind of fucking stupid. So in any case, I mean, and that's why I made that other MAME video about like the port audio shit. because I mean, obviously I'd been working on that, and then I realized like, well, hey, if I if I can do shared mode and convert the sample rate and do all that shit in Final Fight, like why can't MAME do it? And then I looked and it's like, oh, okay, they just didn't implement it. Yeah, okay. Well, in any case, that's good for now.